Hello friends, I'm Brian, and this is Gizmo Board Games. And today I'm going to do a little look at and review of Distilled, a game behind me from Paverson Games. Came out in 2023, I believe. Might have been 2022, late 2022. This is a game where you are working a distillery and just trying to distill the various spirits. Every game you're going to come out with one of 20 or so cards of recipes, and then you're going to go through 7 rounds of actions to try to get the most points you can from your distilled goods. And if you've seen some of my past reviews, I'm going to change up a little bit. I don't have an overhead camera set up here at this house yet. I'm not sure if I ever will. So let's look at changing up a little bit of what I've been doing with my reviews of late. I'm still going to give you a quick rundown if I can, and then get into my Gizmo rating scale. So let's start with the rundown of how to play. Like I mentioned before, this game is played over 7 rounds, and each round you're going to start out by hitting up the market, if you will. You can purchase 2 basic goods from the market, and those are on the bottom row of the market, or top row, I guess, however your setup is. It says the setup on the bottom, so that's where I put it all the time. But there are also premium goods, items, ingredients, upgrades that you can use also to help you brew or distill better and better things. You do need to purchase recipes from the board. You don't just automatically get them. You have to purchase the ability to learn them. And then once everybody's gone through purchasing everything they want from the market, from there you will lay out what you're trying to brew. So you're going to need to at least play 1 yeast, 1 water, and some kind of sugar in order to brew anything. So hopefully you've at least gathered that much from the market, and it's pretty easy to gather those things because you do start out with various goods depending on your setup. Everybody's going to kind of set up one of the characters that go with the flight of recipes, and you're all going to get your own individual setup and special abilities from those player cards, along with your own premium ingredient that you don't automatically get. You do have to not purchase it, but when you build a brew, or I keep calling it a brew because I'm a brewer, when you distill a spirit, you're going to take a spirit card if there is one left on the board, because if everybody's brewing vodka or distilling vodka, then you're going to run out of the vodka tokens. But assuming there's one to take, you're going to take it, and it's going to go at the top of your player board, and you will get one of the 7 various free upgrades, items, or unlock your special, your premium ingredient. So that's how you're going to get these things, and you're going to shuffle them together, whatever you've managed to pick up. Shuffle them together. And then you're going to take off the top and the bottom cards as washback. And these are going to go right back in your pantry. But that means they're going to come out of your distill. So if you don't end up with the sugars you need to distill what you were planning on distilling, you're going to have to probably make a moonshine or a vodka, which are always available as basic distills, spirits. But assuming you didn't lose any of those, then whatever recipe you've got available in front of you, you can brew that or distill that. You're also going to need to put it into a barrel that is required, and everything's going to be listed on the ingredient card. And then it's either going to be sold in the next part of the round, or immediately bottled and sold. Some spirits are going to have to go into the cellar and age, and the longer they age, the more points they're going to be worth, and potentially the more money and things you're going to get, because at the end of every round, the last thing that's going to happen is everything in cellars is going to get an ingredient card secretly put in it, so you don't know if it's a good ingredient or a bad ingredient. A flavor card, I guess, not an ingredient card. A flavor card. You don't know if it's a good flavor or a bad flavor. You'll find out once you do indeed sell that spirit in a future round. Everything you sell is going to get you points and or money, which will roll into the next round. because you're going to use that money then again at the market at the start of the next round to purchase more ingredients and more goods that you're going to use and move on, as well as using your specialist and your upgrades to help you out with getting more either points, money, or goods, or however, there's a whole stack of upgrades you can use. Also, at the end of every market phase, the market's going to clear the oldest ingredient, everything in there. The furthest to the right is going to get discarded, and then you're going to refill the market board. And again, you're going to play through 7 rounds. After the 3rd round, you're going to discard. You start with 3 starting goals, secretly kept. And at the end of the 3rd round, you're going to get rid of one of those goals and keep the other 2 for points. You're also working towards these awards. The first one to claim it, or the first ones to claim it in a round, will get those points, and then nobody else can claim them in future rounds. And finally, at the end of the game, you're going to just see who has brewed or distilled the best and earned the most points. And I believe that's it. You're going to score your objectives. You're going to score your awards you reached along the way. And, of course, you're going to have scored everything you distilled and any points you've gathered through other means throughout the game. Also, some of your equipment or specialists could be worth in-game scoring as well. But also everything you've used has point values on it too. And finally, there is an aspect of set collection, because the various bottle styles each have a region they're from, and the more you collect from a region, the more points they're going to be worth as a set collection. So plenty of ways to score points and earn items throughout the game to help you make better distilled. All right, so let's get into my thoughts. Is the game any good? I do enjoy this game. I think it has its place as a pseudo card deck builder. You're going to the market, you're purchasing things, and then you're going to use those items to help you distill more and more things. I love the variable setup with the different ingredient flights cards, the different distillers or master distillers that you're going to have available with their own unique what they do for you. They can help you build out, and you're making choices with every time you sell. You're going to go to the top of your board and get something in return, whether it's just the points or more money, or use some upgrade free item from the markets, and or earn your premium ingredient. I do really like deck builders. I like tight action selection, tight money usage, and this game has all that. So from that aspect, I think the game is pretty good. Some things I don't like about it is if you're trying to make specific spirits for certain goals or to catch up on the board, and then you end up, washbacking your sugars that you had in there, and now you've got to make a moonshine because you lost the sugars. That really hurts. It really could set you back the rest of the game, and that I'm not really fond of that aspect of the game, because it's already hard enough to buy the ingredients from the market because money is usually that tight. So if you lose a round because you washed back those sugars, that really hurts and could really set you behind the bar. Especially in the solo game. As a solo player, the solo game is about meeting a staircase or pyramid of goals. There's 5 rows that you have to meet one goal from in order to win, really. And so if you miss a round, then you've got one more missed round to try to get some goals that do require you distill 3 different regions, for example, of a spirit. And so if you lose one of your washbacks for that spirit region, then you could fail that goal, and 4 rounds in, you're not going to win. And so there's no point really finishing the solo game. That's a soloist specific gripe, but it is a gripe as a majority solo player. But it just in the general game, you could really fall behind if you don't make a spirit that you really thought you were going to get, and you've almost got to overcompensate with the sugars at times if you've got a a spirit that requires, 2 or more of a certain kind of sugar, and you almost want to put 3 or 4 in your stack, and you might not be able to afford to do that, especially because of the market, the basic market where they're the cheapest. You can only hit up 2 of those in a round. So that is one minor to medium gripe about the game in general. It does have a tendency to hurt if the I love the washback feature. It feels real. I mean, I've never distilled, I said that before, but I know the process, and the washback feature feels real, and I like the inclusion of that, but I don't like that it can really hurt you. So that's it for Is It Any Good? What are the ingredients like? The ingredients, the art is decent. It is an artsy, cartoony style drawing of various ingredients and various goods and jars and things. Some of the jars are pretty fancy. Let me see if we can show off this one a little bit. Like that one, it's a pretty fancy jar, or bottle, I mean, compared to, the mason jar, which looks like a mason jar. So some of the ingredients look nice. As far as the art goes, the boards, I really like the player boards. They've got a lot of detail in them. The score tracker has, various different glasses that you would drink various different spirits out of. So that's neat. But the cards art, I feel like it's basic plus, nothing outstanding, but it's not bad either. It does the job, and I like that. I have the Kickstarter special edition with the playmat, which I didn't put down for the pictures because I don't want to mislead people into thinking that it comes standard. It does not come with a player board unless you have the mat. So that's a unique take because it's got the board for the basic market, it's got the board for the truck where the discards go. I don't know why that couldn't have all just been one big board to include putting the ingredients and stuff out. That was an interesting call. The playmat takes care of most of that. It doesn't include the basic market still, so I don't know. It's a weird decision as far as that goes, but I don't remember what the basic game has versus my upgraded bits. I've got the middle coins. Those are nice in the middle first player piece. Good cardboard on the special spirit. I don't remember exactly what they're called, but when you make the spirit, it's got good thick cardboard, and they've all got decent art for what kind of spirit they are. I like all that. Wooden cubes, I believe, are part of the base game too. And those are nice. They get the job done. They're wooden cubes. They're not plastic cubes. But that's about it. I have sleeved the cards because I do that pretty much any game. I'm going to shuffle the cards. Sleeves were me. And the ingredients are pretty good. Pretty good ingredients. Can't speak on the retail version versus, like I said, the Kickstarter game, other than it doesn't come with a board, and I had to get the player mats with the upgrade. Z, is it easy to play? Well, I went through the overview. I can't come up with a better Z, so we'll just keep this at easy to play. You saw kind of the walkthrough of how it plays. I think it's pretty easy to play. I think anybody who can play cards and do a little bit of thinking and pre-planning can not have too hard of a time with this one. I could see my teenagers playing it with no problem. I don't think you'd want to bring this to little kids, as is true of most card games. They're going to bend the cards up and stuff, but if they're of age to play a card style game, I think they'd be all right with this one. It's nothing too crazy and too hard on the learning curve at all. And so I would almost introduce this to new gamers, at least if they've played a little bit of more than Monopoly style board game. They could probably pick it up. So I would say it's not difficult to play. No, you just got to be able to pre-plan a little bit because, like I said, it's got tight action selection. Not really action selection, but tight with money. So you have to make your purchases count. And so that's where it gets a little tight. All right, more of it. Do I want more of it? Is there enough to keep playing it? And as I mentioned before, yes, it's got a ton of variable setup. Again, it comes standard with 20 or 25 different, flight cards that you can do, which gives you different spirits to distill from game to game. It has, again, 30 or so, I think, different master distillers with their each have their own special ability. They've each got their own special setup. They've each got their own special ingredient, which is worth different points and has different requirements in order to make that spirit. And so, yeah, I really do think it has plenty of offers. Big stack of special premium ingredient cards, premium items, upgrades, flavors. I think there's a good 15 or 20 of the spirit awards you're going for. Good 20, I think, distillery individual goals, of which everybody's going to have 3 to start with and cut down to 2 before the end of the game. It comes with a solo game that I mentioned isn't the greatest, but it lets you play the game without changing too much. Like, you're playing the exact same game, you just got to aim for these goals, which may or may not be easy to attain. But I think it has plenty of variety that I do continue to come back and play it. Originality. Is it original? From card deck building, deck playing? No. There's plenty of games where you build a deck, you pull out certain cards and you use them. This does it a little bit different in the style of making spirits. The washback, I think, is pretty unique to most of these style games. Adding the flavors to add more money and points, I think, as you keep things in the cellar for longer and longer. I like that. I don't think there are too many distillery type games. I know there's a few beer games making beer. I don't know if there are that many making spirits games. There's a bunch of wine games that rate pretty highly usually. So I think this one has its niche, but I don't think it's super original in the gameplay necessarily. But it does offer something a little bit different in the washback and the recipe board. And I think, if you're someone who distills or enjoys, drinking a spirit while you're playing a deck builder, this could be for you. And I enjoy it. So it's good enough for me. But maybe from the gameplay aspect, it's not super unique. So what are my final thoughts? For this one, I give it 3.5 out of 5 gizmos. It's good, better than average. I do pull it out from time to time. It's got an okay solo mode, and I've played it with my friends a few times, and they've seemed to enjoy it and wasn't too tough to teach. I think it came out to like a 7 or so on BGG out of 10 as far as that rating goes. And overall, it's a decent game. I think it's worth playing at least once for what it offers that is a little different from just a standard deck builder style game. But, it doesn't offer a lot that's different. If you're someone who's already kind of washed out of deck builders and you haven't tried this one, maybe you don't like it. But I think it has something to offer for at least a play or two. And that's my thoughts on Distilled. If you like this review, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe below if you haven't already and you're coming back for more than just this one video. I do reviews. I discuss things in the board game world just in general. I put out top 10 lists. I think those are the most popular thing that I do. So if you like these and you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe so that you can get notified of whenever I release more videos. It really does help. And make sure to comment below on your thoughts if you've played this one or if you haven't and if you're interested in it because of this review. I'd love to hear that too. Thanks for watching, and I will hopefully see you on the next one.